Hey, this is another episode of Veterans View here in beautiful downtown Phoenix City. And today my guest is Karen McNeely Boswell from Central Alabama Veterans Healthcare. And she's out of the Tuskegee campus. And Karen, would you tell us what you do for the VA?
Yes, I work with the VA Suicide Prevention Program. That's a mandated program by the federal government. They're suicide prevention coordinators at every major VA installation in the country. And our job is to help staff identify veterans that may be struggling with depression and suicidal thinking, may be having difficulty adjusting to being back into civilian world, may have difficulty adjusting to having a new medical diagnosis. And so we train our staff so they can recognize signs of distress and make sure that veterans receive the appropriate counseling that they need.
Now, Karen, as you know, I work with Vet to Vet organization, and Vet to Vet, our motto is each one, reach one, and teach one. And we try to help teach veterans how to reconnect with themselves, how to reconnect with their significant other, how to reconnect with the environment. So would you just take a moment to tell us how the average person can, so that the average person can understand TBI, suicide prevention, and what our goal is here as far as informing the community as well as the veterans?
Our goal is to reduce suicide in our country. I don't know if you all are aware, but suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States. Homicide, which we hear about on the news almost every night now, is only the 17th leading cause of death in the United States of America. So more people take their own lives than are killed by other people. And when I learned that statistic in 2008, I was truly alarmed because I didn't know that the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, considers suicide a public health issue. So we're trying to make sure that we educate our veterans, their family members, and our staff on what the signs of suicidal thinking and behavior are so they can intervene in a critical need at a critical time to help prevent these tragic deaths from occurring.
Okay, and that's great, and I wanted you to talk about that because over the years you and I have worked together and we've done training on suicide prevention with our fire departments, our sheriff's department, and our police department, and all 11 volunteer fire departments out in Russell County. And during that time, we gave out wristbands that have the 1-800 suicide number to it, so that the law enforcement officers, when they go out on a call, and I'll use an example, if they go out on a call on domestic violence, where it may be two spouses at each other, then they can talk them down. If they can't talk them down, then they can call this 1-800 number and get a clinical social worker or psychologist to talk that individual down. When then the next business day, the VA, they make an appointment for them to the closest VA. But also what I wanted them to know is that when they call this number, it also has a prompt on it, so civilian can call this number and be talked down as well. And then the very next working day, the local health department will make an appointment for them to be seen also. So actually this is a partnership, not just for the VA and veterans, but for our civilian community as well. Because as we say, suicides are one of the leading causes of death in our country, whether it's from veterans or civilians losing their job because the economy go bad or whatever, and people have no other outlet. So that's what they think about. Can you tell us anything else about suicide?
Yes, we love to do a training and it's called SAVE. The S stands for knowing the signs of suicidal thinking and behaviors. And some of those signs are isolation, withdrawing from your friends and family members, having drastic mood changes, being angry. Some veterans describe it as going from 0 to 100. So your anger is way out of proportion to the situation. Some people have difficulty in their sleeping patterns. Either they sleep too much or they can't sleep at all. Some people have changes in their eating habits. Either they overeat or they have no appetite. And so some people feel anxious and worried and feel helpless and hopeless. And so we want people people to know that when people say things or indicate these signs, or when they mention that they're thinking about hurting themselves, that you take all of those things seriously. And then the A in SAFE stands for being able to ask the appropriate questions. It's okay to ask someone if they're thinking about hurting themselves. That does not cause anyone to take their lives. Asking people how they're truly feeling gives people the opportunity to vent. And everybody wants to feel like there's someone that's listening to them and truly cares about how they're doing. And the V in SAFE stands for being able to validate that person's experience. Mr. Davis just talked about someone losing their job. Maybe all of us have dealt with that from time to time. But for some people, if you lose your job, you're in danger of losing your house, you're in danger of losing your spouse. All of those things mount onto people, and everybody has a different level of coping. So you want to be able to validate that person's experience and not downplay it. If they're having a hard time, it's important to be able to encourage them. The E stands for being able to encourage and expedite treatment. And so when we go out on our different speaking engagements, we talk about what are the treatment options in the particular person's community that we're in, so that people will know. For example, we have St. Francis here and the Bradley Center here that are available, as well as the medical center across the way. So we have resources in the community, as well as the two clinics we have in this area, the clinic in Columbus on 10th and 13th, and then we actually have a clinic located at Fort Benning that are available. People can come in on a walk-in basis to be seen. So we want people to know that we're here and we're available to help them. Recently, you've heard about the two tragedies that made national news about Kate Spade and Mr. Bodine that took their lives, and they were not veterans. So people have issues, and sometimes they feel hopeless, and our job is to help give people that hope back, to let them know that their lives have meaning and value, and that they will truly be missed and will devastate their families when they make that type of decision. So we want people to know that we're there, we're available, that they're not quick solutions to most problems, but there are answers to problems. There's medication that can help lift your depression if that's what you're suffering from, or whatever you may be dealing with. One of the issues we see now is a lot of around chronic pain. There's a big epidemic now in our country where we're focused on opiate addiction and what to do about chronic pain issues. Well, we have a pain management program at the Tuskegee VA that teaches behavioral ways to cope with pain. But if you don't know that that's out there, you don't know that that's out there, and you're suffering. So we want people to know that we have treatments that are available that can address just about anything that you're going through. And we want people to know that we're available as a VA, and we want to help families, and we want to help their spouses. We want to help their children to make a smooth transition back into civilian life. And for even those veterans that have been veterans for years, whether you served in World War II, we have a World War II Korean support group. We have groups for veterans that served in the war in Vietnam, as Persian Gulf War groups, as well as support groups for the veterans that are returning home right now. So we just want to let people know that we do have resources available, and the VA is here to support you. That's what our bands say, support our veterans. And our crisis line, that we now have 3 centers in this country because the crisis line was receiving so many calls. There's one in Canandaigua, New York, there's one in Atlanta, Georgia, and a new one just opened in Topeka, Kansas, because people are utilizing the crisis line to call when they need to talk. So we're glad to be able to offer that service.
And that's great. And I want to share something with you that's really great to show you how our community here in Phoenix City and Russell County work together. I've received a call once by people in the community, but one of our veterans was having some issues. And I went out, met with the veteran and his spouse, and we took action right then. The veteran needed help. And so I went, we got with the judge probate, and we talked with the spouse, and we transported that veteran to Montgomery VA, and he got the treatment that he needed. See, we're there to help as well. We're not here to hurt a veteran, and that's what veteran needs to understand about the Veterans Court, is that we are there to get you the treatment that you did not get. We don't want to see you go to jail. We want to see you get treatment and become a productive citizen in our community. So we're going to take a break right now, right quick, and then we'll be right back.
They are the greatest fighting force the world has ever seen. But what does it take to strengthen our service members? What does it take to let them know that we stand behind them, wherever they are? What does it take to bridge the distance and keep them connected to family, home, and country? And what does it take to prepare them for their future when their service to the nation is complete? What does it take to strengthen our service members so they can be the greatest force for good in the world? It takes a force. Be a force behind the forces. Share a message today at force.uso.org.
Welcome to another episode of Veterans View here in beautiful downtown Phoenix City, or should I say uptown Phoenix City. Either way, it's a great day and we have a great show for you today. Today we have Ms. Karen McNeely Boswell from the VA, which is one of the VA social workers. And Karen, what program do you run for the VA?
I work with the suicide prevention program at the VA.
Okay, suicide, and Karen and I work together quite a bit, and we train our first responders about suicide prevention and how to deal with veterans with PTSD. So Karen, we have trained the Sheriff Department, the Phoenix City Police and Fire Department, and all 11 volunteer fire departments in Russell County. And I will be rescheduling that in this upcoming year so we can get that training out of the way. But today, we want to talk about something that's exciting that's coming up on August the 27th. I mean July the 27th, I'm sorry. July the 27th. And Karen, would you tell us something about this program that's going to be held at the Infantry Museum?
Yes, every year the VA is mandated to have a community mental health summit. And that summit is so that the VA can describe their best practices in recognizing and treating different mental health issues that veterans may face. So we want to put the best practices out there to our community providers. So a lot of veterans see people in the community, so we want our community providers to also know what the VA has found out as best practices so that we can all be providing our veterans with the best possible care for them and their family members.
Well, that's great. And I understand that the president signed a memorandum earlier this year to make a smoother transition for veterans.
Yes, President Trump signed an executive order earlier this year asking that our whole focus be on making a smooth transition from the Department of Defense for our veterans into civilian life. So that's our mandate, and that's going to be the focus of all of our programming on the 27th. We're going to have representatives from all of our area military installations coming and talking about their specific transitional services that they offer to veterans and their families. So we're real excited to have a representative from Fort Benning, from Fort Rucker, and from Maxwell Air Force Base coming to talk with us.
Now also, can you tell us some of the dignitaries that's going to be there on the 27th?
Yes, we're so excited to have Major General Brito from Fort Benning will be there, as well as Representative Sanford Bishop is going to be there. Even our own director of the Central Alabama Veterans Healthcare System, Dr. Linda Boyle, will be there giving opening remarks.
Well, this sounds like it's going to be great. Now, is this an all-day event, a couple of hours event?
This is an all-day event. Registration starts at 7:30, and our program is going to kick off promptly at 8 in the morning and run until roughly 4:30, 5 o'clock.
Now, will there be any refreshments or anything provided?
No refreshments, but there is a restaurant at the Infantry Museum, and there will be a lunch break so that people have free to go and mingle with each other and go to the restaurant of their choice.
So this is really going to be like a sit-down event and a presentations type event. Well,
yes, in the morning we're going to all be in the auditorium, and that's where our first speakers are going to be doing their presentations on transitional services. We're having Dr. Rebecca Jacobson that's coming from the Army National Guard to talk about resilience, and someone else will be speaking that morning, Dr. Catherine Moyer, on what are the readjustment issues that our veterans face. So that will be our morning sessions. In the afternoon, we'll be into break out into two separate group rooms where half of the people will be learning about post-traumatic stress disorder, major depressive disorder, traumatic brain injury, smoking cessation, substance abuse treatment, and also about the National Alliance on Mental Illness. So those will be the breakout sessions that people can attend in the afternoon.
Well, you know, that's great because I've been to different sessions over there in the museum and the theater, and it's a very nice theater, and the acoustics is nice, so it should be very interesting. And matter of fact, I'm going to throw a plug in for the Infantry Museum. Once you finish all of this training and you get this information, take a tour of the Infantry Museum. I believe it's rated #1 museum in the country now.
It is a beautiful museum, and it's very experiential. You can go in and you can see the different things from all of the wars our veterans have fought in. They also have an exhibit for the Medal of Honor winners, so it's a very informative and beautiful museum. So we're glad that we're going to have breaks in between the different sessions, so not only that our participants can mingle with each other, but also can take in the view at the Infantry Museum.
Okay, great. Now we have talked about that event, and I want to ask, what specific is Central Alabama Healthcare bringing? Is it anyone else coming, like out of Atlanta areas, Vision 7 or anything of that nature?
Well, we've invited our boss from Vision 7 from the Atlanta Bureau to come down, so we're still waiting to hear about her participation. We have a speaker from Auburn University that's going to be participating. Great. So we have tried to pull the experts in the different fields to come and talk on these various issues with us.
Okay, great. So will there be literature, pamphlets laid out for veterans to pick up while they're there?
Well, everyone that comes is going to get a program booklet that's going to have all of the PowerPoint, all the educational information. We're going to have someone that's going to be talking about veterans benefits as well. He's going to have sample applications so people can know how to fill those out as well, because we want to provide education to our community providers, but also to the veterans that come, so they can learn about different treatments for themselves. And we're so excited to have someone who's knowledgeable about benefits that's going to participate as well.
Well, that's great. And then I have to throw a plug in for myself for the Russell County Veterans Council. We help veterans to navigate the VA system. We also run the Veterans Court. We are the senior mentor. So we help them not only navigate the VA system and help them fill out their application for benefits, but we also help them actually complete the application, know what they need from DD 214 to marriage certificate, birth certificates. In case of National Guard, they got to have certain forms that you don't have to have as a regular veteran. So we really try to make this transition as smooth for them as possible. And also we help the students when we have funding in the end of the year. We try to give out book scholarships and different things of that nature. So we work very hard to try and take care of our veterans. But here's another thing I want to talk to you about that we have coming up on August the 11th, which is the Veterans Fair out in Fort Mitchell, and you will be there along with the rest of the team from Tuskegee VA Medical Center and other vendors that's here in the local area. You have attended these kind of functions before. What do you think of the different things that we do in the community, the veterans organization, as far as veteran fairs and things like that?
I think the veteran service organizations play a pivotal role in helping the veterans. They help make things understandable. They help bridge the gap, because so often when you're released, sometimes you're released and you move back home. So the veterans organizations give them a place to plug in and are a wealth of information. They bring different community organizations together and just let veterans know all of the services that they are entitled to. And a lot of them don't know. And we know that knowledge is power, and we want our veterans to be enlightened so that they can receive everything that they need, from whether it's job retraining to writing a resume, to job search, to helping their children navigate getting into a new school system. So there are all these readjustment issues that we want them to be able to navigate smoothly. So that's why we have our seamless transition program.
Okay, that's great. And one of the things that I left out when we try to help, we have a lot of veterans, especially in this area, that have just come back from war or getting out that may have TBI. We definitely have a lot of PTSD. So we work closely with not just the veteran court system, but with the sheriff, so that when they go out to a home on a call and it's a veteran and he may be having issue, they know what to do. So the training that we've done with you is that we try to make sure that each one of our emergency responders have a band that has the 800 number that they can call, so someone, one of the VA social workers, clinical social workers, can talk that veteran down if they need to. So we want to make sure we continue to put that word out there that we are very involved. But there's one other thing that I want to talk to you about, because with this new program that the president has authorized, one of the things that we had talked about in the past was trying to encourage the military to, when a veteran is discharged or retired, to let them get issued that VA ID card before they leave the base, so that they know that they can go, they're already in the system and they don't have to worry about, oh, this is going to be too much trouble. Now you're in the system, and if you're getting out, you got 60 days to go to get your dental work done from the VA. So now you're in the system, you got your card, you can make your appointment and not have a problem. It's still a smooth transition. But without that card, I think the transition is a little harder, because they're worried about getting his kids registered in school, looking for a job, and all of those other kind of things. What do you think about that?
I think that would be an excellent idea. So I know the Department of Defense and the Department of Veterans Affairs are trying to work closer together to make things smoother for our veterans. So that's part of, they also have an initiative that tells them that they need to be helping with job readiness, with making sure all the veterans know about the Veterans Health Administration and the Veterans Benefit Administration and the Veterans Cemetery, because they don't know all the time about all these things that they're entitled to.
Okay, that's great, because we have some upcoming shows that we're going to be talking about Veterans Court, to make veterans more aware that they do have help out here. They are not alone. When you go to combat and you come back and you're not gotten the treatment that you need, sometimes things go wrong. So we want them to know that we're out here to help them, along with Veterans Court, to have a more smoother transition, so that we can transition them into VA healthcare, getting the counseling and the help that they need. And we're also working on teaching them or showing them how to use their benefits as far as education. Because if you're not going to use it and you don't transfer it over to your spouse or your children in a timely manner, then they won't be able to use it. So it's we have a lot of initiatives that we're working on, and we'll be coming later with a show, as I said, with Judge David Johnson, and we'll be talking about Veterans Court. We'll also be coming, and believe it or not, I know people say, why are you going? We'll be coming with our funeral home directors, and the reason why we're doing that is veterans need to understand that they need to plan ahead, and that they can pre-register at the VA National Cemetery. So we want to cover everything to ensure veterans knows what's available to them and why they should pre-plan. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Kara?
I just want to say that we're so excited about our Community Mental Health Summit, and we're inviting our public and our veterans and all community providers to come. It's going to be on Friday, July 27th at the Infantry Museum. So please find your way out there. We're so excited about the information we're going to share, and we're looking forward to seeing as many people there as the auditorium will hold.
Okay, well, that's great. And the Infantry Museum do have a great cafeteria, but if you want to throw a sandwich in your purse, throw a sandwich in your purse. But it will be a great day. You'll get a lot of information. You thought you knew everything, but you'll find out that it's still a lot to learn. So again, Karen, we want to thank you for coming to Veterans View today.
Thank you for having me.
And we invite you to come back again with more information, so that we can share it with our veterans in our community. And we thank you for all that you do for our veterans. And that's it. This is another day. Now, Karen, one other thing. Can you tell us your phone number, so that if someone wants to call you and schedule some training, they could call you?
Yes, you can reach me at 334-727-0550, extension 3599. And we are required to do 7 trainings a month now. So we go to churches, community centers, civic groups, universities. So if anyone wants to know how to deal and how to recognize the signs of suicidal thinking and behaviors so that we can put an end to this epidemic we have on suicides, please don't hesitate to give us a call.
Okay, that's it. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Veterans View. Again, my name is Leroy Davis, and I am the director of the Russell County Veterans Council, and see you next week.